Here we are again. Hi, Isabelle.
Hi.
So the first question I'm going to ask you is a weird one, but you can explain why, because I'm going to ask you, Isabelle, what about your eyebrows?
Yeah, it's a funny situation that Laura and me had right now, because we were in our talking and we were talking about the topic of not being good enough, and that this is actually a topic that holds a lot of us back in our development, because we think we need to come to a point until we allow ourselves to step out there in the world. And then Laura had this beautiful spontaneous idea, why don't we start recording right now, because we already talking. So then, me not having any makeup on at the moment, I was saying, okay, but just one thing, let me make my eyebrows before we go into the conversation. And then we were just laughing because it was like, oh my God, it's right on the spot of what we want to talk about. And then I made now the conscious decision, no, I'm not making my eyebrows right now. I'm stepping here in front of the camera the way I am, and it's good enough. And so it's actually a big step that I'm making here. So, but I think it fits perfect to what we want to talk about here and share with you.
Thank you. Yeah. Because we started our conversation about, I was telling Isabelle that I have a new website, and it is at the point that it is okay, all the information is on it, but it doesn't absolutely look like I really want to look it like yeah. You understand. And then I said to Isabelle, I feel a little bit anxiety about exposing myself to the world now with my new website, because I can be not good enough now if I show everybody my website, because people can say, oh, that's so not nice, and you did this wrong, and this is not okay, and this is not okay. And that was a thing that I felt. It was not holding me back because I was aware of it, but it is really a kind of feeling in myself like, what am I going to do? And then we started our conversation, because we think that it is something that a lot of people might recognize, isn't it, Isabelle?
Absolutely. So when you said that, I saw myself inside of you immediately, and it helped so much, because look, what was the first thing I said to you? Oh, that it's not perfect makes it perfect. Oh, how easy to say it to other people, right? The sentence. But the first thing when we said we record, oh, I make my eyebrows, because it's apparently not perfect. So, I mean, it's so easy to say those things to others. And I think we often say those things to others because we want to watch people allow themselves to act not perfect and still be perfect, like seeing how beautiful it can be when we just go out with who we are, because we hope that when other people give themselves the allowance, we allow ourselves the same way. But I think this is why we encourage always each other so much, like saying, oh, you do it because it's perfect the way it is. Because I think we hope that deep down inside we have the courage then as well. But yet, when we were talking about it, what I also said in the moment is why it is so important for ourselves to step out, even though with what we have right now. Because if we all would wait until we have it all figured out and only then we go out in the world, I mean, first of all, I think nobody would go out with anything at all, because there is always the risk of something, oh, I don't know something yet that I will know sooner. This is just the path of progress. This is just the path of learning. We go with what we have. And of course, 5 years later, we would have done it. We say, oh, we would have done it differently. But on the other side, this is not possible, because 5 years before, we just didn't have the knowledge that we will have 5 years later. And I think the more we fall in love with the progress, right? I mean, that we say, hey, with what I have right now is enough, and this is what I can give. And there will be people who, for who this will be perfect right now. I mean, we're not forcing anybody to look our channels or to work with us. I mean, it's from everybody the free choice. And if somebody maybe said, because I said the example, if somebody, for example, shares their path of suffering, no, they don't have the solution yet, that they say, oh, I once was suffering with, I don't know, anorexia, for example, but now I'm out. I did it, you know? Okay, great. So if you say, oh no, I cannot share my path of suffering because first I need to figure out and have a solution, otherwise I'm not worthy about sharing my path. If we have this kind of mindset, I mean, but if you would go out with your path and say, hey, I didn't figure it out yet, but still I want to share my story because I know there are people out there who feel exactly the same. And how many people this person could help, you know, without having a solution, without saying, hey, you need to do this, this, and this will bring you out. No, just sharing the story, just saying, hey, this is what I'm suffering, just making people not feeling alone, just making people feel understood, being seen. This is already helpful. And then maybe even together with the audience, you can find a solution and maybe say, oh, today I did this well, today I figured out this one. But this is just the mindset that I want to come, that the progress is actually what's the best to fall in love with. Because if we all wait, once we have figured it out, yeah, then we die, I think, you know?
But I think I understand why people do it, because I felt it so clearly in myself. It had to do with shame. Because I am ashamed when people are telling me, for example, about my website, like, Laura, the colors are really off. You really didn't do that right. Then I know they are right. And it gives me a feeling of shame because I did something not good enough. So it's the feeling in myself that's preventing me from just being myself and being completely authentic and doing everything that I really am. And I think that's something that is underlying very, very much in very, very many people when we're talking about this, what you just said also, Isabelle. And I have to think about, I even know people, maybe you know them too, who are saying, I don't want a relationship at this moment because I am not at the point that I think I can be in a good relationship. And of course, sometimes people can say that. And of course, I listen to that and I think, yeah, you have the choice. And if you feel it like that, that's perfect. But sometimes people say it because they think they're not good enough for being in a relationship. And then I say, but when will you be? Because then you're dead already and you didn't have any relationship. I don't think that that's the point from living here at this earth. And that's the same for my website, your eyebrows, whatever, that it's all about all about recognizing the shame in yourself. Because it's the other thing that I want to say about it. It's so funny because we are living in a kind of culture. I mean, we have our Western culture of looking at things. And it's funny because I also have Netflix, like very many people in the world. And I started looking at this Netflix series from Asia, from Japan and from South Korea about dating shows that they have on Netflix. And it is so funny to watch it. It's so funny because why is it so funny for me to watch it? And I think for many people, their culture is very different from our culture. And especially they are ashamed about things we here in the Western world are not a moment ashamed about. I was like, why on earth are you ashamed? Are you ashamed about that and that? And also the other way around. They're not ashamed to say things that we would be very ashamed of. So shame is something very cultural. And that learns me that it is something that we learn each other to be ashamed. It's not something that we're born with this shame. It's something that that the world gives to us, that other people are giving to us. So that is helping me a lot to recognize in myself when I'm ashamed, like, where is it coming from? Because I wasn't born with this shame. So what is it exactly? And yeah, I can go on with it, the shame is because if I feel ashamed, there is a risk that people won't like me. And if people are not liking me, and too many people are not liking me, maybe they're throwing me out of the group and of the social surrounding that I'm in. And that's really, really a frightening thought, because then how can I survive? I think that's underlying my shame. So I thought maybe that's helpful to explain. I hope people can have something, can learn from that. Yeah.
Very, very good. I love the way you explained it and reflected it, actually, because I think shame is a huge topic. And I would even go maybe the step further that when saying, okay, the shame is holding me back, I would maybe even go further and saying my fear of feeling the shame is holding me back. Because maybe even the shame itself isn't something bad. Like, you know, I mean, of course, there's healthy shame, no? And toxic shame. There are also two different kinds of shame. I mean, sometimes a certain way of shame is also what you say, it makes you, socially being like not running around and being like, you know, being like this. I mean, of course, it's a cultural thing then, but sometimes there's a healthy kind of shame, if there's even, but I heard about this toxic shame, which is really like holding us back. I would more say the healthy shame is not really like damaging us. It's maybe just, I need to dive more into this topic to really talk about it. But I think when I say now the word toxic shame, is really the fear of feeling this kind of shame. Like, because I think if we would be having the courage to say, hey, I'm not afraid of feeling shame. I accept it. I accept it as part of me. I accept it as an emotion that we have. Like, we have all different kinds of emotion. And I accept shame as a part of me. And once it's arising, I acknowledging it, but I'm not letting it holding me down, because I have the courage to feel the shame and keep on moving forward. Like, I think this is maybe also something interesting, but therefore it helps to understand where the shame is coming from, what you were explaining before, because otherwise you have it and then it's like, oh God, what am I doing with this? But I think really to understand what the shame is coming from, and I love the way that you said it, that it's culturally, that it's coming from culture. That's really a big topic. Like, I mean, in Germany, I noticed already America and Germany, I mean, there you could say we're very similar. But even there, I noticed that when my host kid, she was visiting me here, and what I loved about America was I could be like, I could be like expressing myself the way I do naturally. But here in Germany, it's often like, you're so big in your movement, you're so loud, you're so, wow, you're so this. And this is what I loved in America, because nobody ever told me I was too fast or too loud or anything. I mean, I was also in New York, so maybe that's also part of it, because everything is like, you know. But there I felt accepted. When I was there, I felt my being is accepted there and not shamed constantly. Also, when I said I'm doing acting, they were like, wow, you know, I felt like very accepted there. This is why I fell in love with America. This is my personal reason. It's not like politics and all these things we don't need to talk about, because I think there's also a lot of shit going on, different topic. But just from me, culturally, what I noticed there, I felt accepted. And it was interesting because when my host kid, she was here with me in Germany then, or I met the family, and she and me, we were driving back from Holland, actually. That was funny, with the train back to Cologne. And we were in the train like we always are. And then suddenly she said, oh my God, Isa, we are the only ones like talking this loud. And I said, yeah, welcome to Germany. You know, so even she noticed it then at this moment. And sometimes when and I love to be around with them, because I felt, like I said, so normal. And when my host there, he was also like very like, well, he was just there, you know. And then my host mom always said, please, can you not act like we're from America? Like, I mean, everybody sees from far away in America, you know. But I saw it as a very lovely thing, because I felt there, and we enjoy ourselves, we just have a good time, we not looking all the time being shamed. So I think also shame in Germany is also a very extra topic on us. I think, or maybe even in Europe then, but I would not say in Europe in generally. But
I think in Germany, yeah, in Germany, I think it's even more than, for example, in Holland. I think because we are in Holland. In Holland, we are known for our speaking loudly and stuff. Oh, sorry, that was my phone. But even in Holland, I feel that people actually last month, I think there were 2 people saying to me, "Oh yeah, when you're hugging me, Laura, I have to put my fingers in my ears because you're too loud." 2 people told me. I think you're so right. And of course, I want to notice other people. And if people are really uncomfortable with me speaking loud, I want to adapt myself, my habit. But if it's all the time, that's not okay.
Yeah, because it's also the joy. I think the enthusiasm and the joyfulness, this is also collected with like, it's like, of course, it's not over the top all the time and constantly, but I want to express my joy, and I feel the joy is very limited there as well. And I mean, I just need to look on the street and I see that there's truth behind what I'm saying, that the joy is limited, that people go when they want to laugh. They need to wait until it's weekend and they get drunk, because then it's getting really loud here, because you feel how everybody is like suppressing their energy, and then once they drunk, they get it out, and then they scream and laugh even louder. But I want to laugh and express my joy also during the day. And then, because I mean, it's a different thing if somebody says, "Oh, I'm sorry today, would you mind just, or I notice in myself today I'm very sensitive for volume. Could we maybe try to just lower it a little bit? I don't want to, if you don't feel like it, if this is your boundary, then I also accept it. We could talk about it." But I think if people say it, because I have this, "Oh my God, you're so loud," this is shaming.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think, look, the whole face is like this. And when they look at you with this disgust even, and this rejection, "Oh my God, you're so loud," this is so painful and hurtful. And this is a different way of saying, "Oh, please, would you mind? I notice in myself, I'm a little bit sensitive today. I have a headache," or whatever it is that makes you uncomfortable with this volume. Then you express it the self, but not shaming on others, because there's also a difference,
And I think this rejection that people put on you when you're too loud, and I recognize that when people do that, maybe that's because they were, as younger children, when they were enthusiastic or they were loud and expressing their joy, then there were other people like their parents who were telling them like, "Hey, stop doing that. You're too loud. You're too noisy." And then they felt maybe the same shame. And then they stopped doing it and expressing it. And even in that way, that they're now shaming other people for it. Maybe that's the same. I think about what it reminds me of is when smokers quit smoking, then they are the biggest rejectors of smoke. You recognize that? They're like, I hate smoke. I hate smoke. And when you ask people who are really, really furious about that, it's almost all the time because they were smokers before. So that reminds me of that. Maybe that's the same, because I don't want to reject the people that are putting shame on me, but I want to know why they are doing it. Because like you say, it feels so unnatural to suppress joy and enthusiasm in other people. It feels unnatural. It doesn't feel right. I don't want to suppress joy or curiousness or enthusiasm in other people. I don't want to do that. So how come that some people are doing that? Maybe when they're not aware of it, or even when they're aware of it. How come they do it? That's what I wonder. So I think maybe that's
good point. I feel it too, because what Itzia said, that we often internalize the shaming we experience in the outside, the shaming voice, like you said, the parents, for example, with shaming. And then at some point we internalize the voice. So then we don't need the parents anymore to shame.
Yes.
Then we have this internalized shamer, and then we shame ourselves.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we react the same way as our parents would react. I love the example you give. So when we see then somebody else who maybe were behaving in a way that we used to behave, and then, but we were not allowed. And instead of acknowledging maybe this pain, to say, oh my God, like, I see myself in you right now, and how free I used to be in expressing myself.
Yeah.
I think in this phase, when it's like, you see the pain that is in people when they reject, it's also painful for them. And maybe instead of seeing, oh my God, it's painful for me because I used to be as free as you, but I put a wall around it because I was shamed. I mean, you see already how much awareness and consciousness it's needed to express and realize it this way. But this is why those conversations are good, because then when we acknowledge ourselves in that, we could understand why we behave a certain way. And then there would be a chance for healing. So if we would have the awareness to acknowledge, hey, it hurts me right now because I'm not allowing myself it right now, or I have a wall around it, I cannot reach. So I'm here, I see you expressing yourself freely, and I'm not finding a path inside of me to reach this state of feeling. I don't know how to reach the state of being as you do right now. And not knowing, being in this helplessness, makes you suffer. And then, of course, if you don't know how to reach this path, what are you doing? I don't want to remind it. I don't want to be reminded that those happy people exist. So stop doing it. Yeah. And then comes the suppressing. It's out of a helplessness. It's coming out of a frustration. And this is, I think, the path behind it. And I love the scene that comes in my mind from Greece, from the movie. Mm-hmm. Have you watched it by any chance?
Yeah, several times.
Yeah, and then was that in this car race, and Danny won, and then Sandy, she was watching, but from more far away. And then this girl with this, I think she had like pink hair or something, she came to her and she said to Sandy, because Sandy was sitting there sad, and then this girl came and said, Danny won, aren't you happy about it? And then Sandy replied, no, not yet, but can you show me? I loved it, because this is like she acknowledged in herself, no, she cannot feel this happy and joyful and exciting that Danny won, because of course there was a lot of pain involved. They could not be together. She loved him and all of that. But I think this response was so wise to acknowledge and say, no, I cannot feel happy yet, but can you show me? And then the friend, I had goosebumps saying that, and then this friend said, she said, yes, of course, come on. And then one of the next scenes is then when she's standing there like in this black dress. And this is, I think, what is a very wise response, because normally people would say, how ridiculous. They celebrate now that he won the car race. They would put themselves normally above and look down on it because they feel the shame of not being happy. But she was acknowledging that she doesn't know yet how to get to this state of feeling, and then she asked for help.
Yeah, beautiful. And actually, if we make the circle round again, because I think that the people that are, for example, you don't have your makeup on now, and my website is not really, really nice. People who are going to say something of that, actually, that's the same. Because why are they doing it? Why are they, like, we are having fun together now, right? About talking about these things. And so if people are commenting about it, like, oh, you're shaking your head all the time or nodding it, what we talked about. Or about, oh, she's not wearing makeup. Oh, she's not like that. She's not that. She's this, she's that. Why are people doing that? That's about the same, like you said, because it is avoiding their own pain. That's why they do it. So actually, that's really painful to look at, but it doesn't say anything about you or about me. It says something about the one who is giving the comments.
And about how they treat themselves.
Exactly.
Because when you notice that they don't give themselves the allowance to be out there with what they have. And this is why they project this hard voice that they have with themselves. This is what they bring outside in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I said it, I don't know if it was the last time when we were talking too, that when people treating me like really bad, I actually can come to a point where I say, I feel sorry for you, but because if this person lives inside of you, this mindset, those thoughts, because words are just an expression of thoughts. So those evil thoughts need to live inside your head. And then I think in this head that you live in with those thoughts, I don't want to live in.
No, exactly. That's actually very pitiful, very painful. Yeah.
Because saying those words, those evil words, which are an expression of thoughts, thinking those thoughts, because the thought comes here first, which are so evilly charged, harms also the person itself. I mean, having thoughts that are charged so negative harms the person itself. And then when they even decide not only thinking those thoughts, so they make the decision to even express them, if saying or writing them, then they give the negative charged thought even more room to exist.
Yeah.
So it's actually the person lives in a very unhealthy body.
Yeah. So what is the healthy way? The healthy way is to first, I think the first step is being aware of it, don't you think? Because
Absolutely.
If you're not aware of it, then you cannot fix it, you cannot change it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe
because there is another thing about thinking a thought, but then maybe saying, wait, I acknowledge. Now I have this thought again. But this time I make the decision not to speak it out. I make the decision not to put it out in the world. Yeah. I recognize it. I'm not shaming myself for having this thought, because I maybe notice. Then you can go on the journey. Oh, I have this thought. Where does this come from? What is the feeling behind this thought? What wound was maybe triggered that this thought is coming? And then going on this, what we are maybe often call this internal journey. Journey within. This is exactly what I mean for sure about it. Like noticing that and then questioning yourself. Where does it come from? I notice. Instead of spreading it out in the world and give this emotional abusive virus out there, and then we just wound again other people. I mean, it's so easy said than done. Like I said just in my last video, I just got into also an arguments with somebody and he's really hitting my buttons. And then I also saying like all the things I learned, it's so difficult for me. And then I found myself also and then flipping out, So of course it's still happening, but learning from it, not being afraid of looking at the situation and say, oh my God, what has happened here? I want to look at it again. What went wrong? Like, how can I make it different time?
Yeah.
That's
really the way. But it is also really, like you say, it is really a hard way. It's really not easy. It's really difficult because it is so different from what we're used to do. And it is so different from how we are raised in our culture and in these countries we live in. I think it is really, really necessary that we make the shift, but it's not easy, because when you are aware of it, that's Siri. When you are aware of it, it also gives you the responsibility. So it's because then when you are aware of it, you cannot be unaware of it. So at that moment, you totally have the responsibility to look at it and to be aware of it, that it is something of yourself. But it's so much easier to give to other people and say you're wrong and you're doing things wrong, instead of looking inside, like, where is it coming from that you call everybody a wrong person? That's so hard. And it, because then when you go this journey inside, you reach your own pain, because it's painful. If it wasn't painful, you wouldn't do it, because of course we all want to have joy and pleasure and enthusiasm and peace, and that's what we all want, don't we? So why don't we do it? Because it is painful. It is uncomfortable. We don't want to do it. So the first step of awareness is very, very important, but notice in yourself when you don't want to be aware of things. Maybe that's the small step before the being aware. So at the moments that you tell yourself, I recognize it in myself, that I sometimes tell myself like, I don't like it to do, I'm not in the mood for it. I always make these little excuses in myself. That is because I don't want to go into my pain. Because I think if I go into my pain, where will it end? Will it ever end? What is the purpose of going into my pain? I want to have joy, you know, but actually the real way to go into my joy is to first go into my pain, because then there's much more space for the joy. But that is so hard. It's so difficult. And only by doing it a lot of times, I learned, and you also learned, Isabelle, but I think very many people maybe did not learn already, that I can have the confidence that it's working that way, that it's really giving me much more space for joy and for peacefulness. But that's something that I need to get confident about. So that,
that's the repetition.
Sorry?
Of dealing with the repetition of dealing with it this way, so that you keep on making the experience. Oh my God, I went through the pain, but afterwards came joy again. Oh my God, I went, and then it gets like I give the example. It's like we not worrying every night. Oh my God, will the sun come up again? We know. This is why we can accept the darkness in the evening and maybe make it even cozy, make candles on and stuff and really enjoy it, because we have this deeper trust that the sun is coming up again. And this is what I like to sometimes compare with emotions. So when we have the trust that I know how difficult it is to remember when the pain is there, the joy seems so far away. I know it's the worrying. I'm still often have this, oh my God, but it gets less and less, because the more you make the experience that the sun is coming up again internally. This is why I call it a sunrise of the heart, because the heart has a sunrise again, you know, and then you feel, oh my God, I was able to laugh again. But learning this trust, I mean, it's difficult. It's the same when it's winter. It's difficult to imagine how everything is blooming. It seems like so far away. But deeper down, you know it will come. And this we need to feed and to put in ourselves the trust, even though if we cannot feel it yet. But then talking to ourselves and saying, okay, I realize I cannot feel the trust right now, but I want to trust. I want to trust. I want to learn how to trust, because deep down I know the joy will come again. But not suppressing your worries, saying, okay, I feel I worry right now. I notice that I have difficulties to trust that joy will come again in my life. But deep down I know the joy will come in my life. And I make the decision that I want to trust that the joy will come in my life. And then saying those mantras, by stay with your truth, not using those positive affirmations that are so far away from you. I mean, then they are making you angry. You know, like, oh, I'm trusting. No, you're not trusting at the moment. So be honest and say, I know I have difficulties to trust, but I want to trust. I make the decision that I want to learn how to trust. Being honest with the way you express yourself.
Yeah. But that's hard. That's difficult. It is.
Yeah. It is. But the joy that comes then is a truthful joy. It's an authentic joy. It's not the joy on an unstable floor and you know, oh my God, it could break every moment and then all the shit is up there again. No, then it becomes like kind of a truthful joy, because you know it came through without suppressing anything.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a mousy joy, but it feels like an elephant joy.
Yeah. Okay, I guess my battery is empty soon. I need to.
Okay, but maybe it's also nice to make an end now to our conversation, because I think that we have a nice round now. Because if we go back to where we started, like I'm anxious about exposing myself with my new website, and you anxious about being in a video without makeup on. Oh, whoa! Like that's where it's all coming from. Yeah. And that's what we're doing to each other. Sorry?
But do you feel, I mean, I notice inside of me that I feel much more really relaxed now.
Yeah, me too.
This is how it is, that we just spoke about it.
Yeah, me too. Because now I know like, my website is not perfect. So I give every person, the opportunity to look at it and say like, things don't have to be perfect to expose yourself. Yeah.
Right.
It feels really as a relief. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Nice. Okay, let's talk another time.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.